Hi guys, this is Brad from Brad's Trains, and today I'm going to review this MTH Premier Line CSX SD40-2. This model was featured in MTH's 2011 Volume 1 catalog, and it features ProSound 2. They made several road names. The road name you see here is CSX. I got the road number 8255. The construction of this model is pretty typical. It features die-cast metal pilots, die-cast metal trucks, die-cast metal truck side frames, a die-cast metal fuel tank, and a die-cast metal frame. The shell of the engine is ABS plastic. As I mentioned earlier, the locomotive is equipped with ProSound 2.0, which means it can be run with DCS or it can be run conventionally. I recommend running it with DCS to get the full performance out of this model. The locomotive weighs a little bit over 6 pounds, so you combine the 6 pounds with that 2 motors and 4 traction tires and you get a lot of pulling power. In my own test, I ran 37 cars behind it and it pulled it easily with no problems at all. Here's a close-up look at the locomotive's pilot. As you can see, it's pretty nicely detailed. It features separately applied MU hoses on either side of the coupler. It features a proto-coupler on either end of the locomotive. It features a metal separately applied coupler cut bar. On the steps of the pilot, there are no drainage holes, and that's something I was a little bit disappointed in. The front porch of this locomotive is also nicely detailed. Features this separately applied metal chain in between the handrails. All the handrails on the locomotive are metal. There are separately applied metal grab irons on the front and all around the locomotive. Separately applied plastic sand bins right here. There are windshield wipers on the cab windows of the locomotive, and there are 2 figures inside the cab. Here's a look at the side of the cab. As you can see the crew figure in there. There is 1 open window and 1 closed one. There are these movable windscreens right here. These are nice. There's a little American flag in the paint job right there. And as you can see, it says 8255. There are strobe lights on this model, and I'll show them when I start this engine up. There is a separately applied metal horn, and it is very detailed. It even has rivets on it. Here's a close-up look at the locomotive's truck side frames. As you can see, they're pretty well detailed. They feature this metal brake cylinder detail that has piping that goes up on it to the other brake cylinder. And the coolest part about these truck side frames that I've found is there's this little sanding line that goes down right behind the wheel. So it looks really nice. The trucks have 2 flanged axles and 1 non-flanged axle in the center. The flanged axle in the center is actually geared though. Here's a close-up look at the model's fuel tank. As you can see, it's pretty nice looking, but it's nothing special. All the details molded in. It has these hand-painted gauges right here, which are pretty nice. And this air reservoir tank is also molded in, as well as all the piping. And there's your fuel fill right there. The locomotive's doors are molded in, both the front and back door of the cab. And that was a little bit of a disappointment, but it wasn't a deal breaker. They're still pretty nicely done. There's a window on the back door right here, and it has a windshield wiper as well. All the walkways on this model feature safety tread, which was a nice touch. The grills on the engine, the intakes and the radiator grills, are edged metal and they are see-through, separately applied grills, so that was nice. These dynamic brake grills, however, are not see-through. These are molded in plastic grills. Towards the back of the engine, you can see there's a nice separately applied metal bell and a clear sight glass right here. The rear pilot is identical to the front pilot, so I'm not going to go into any detail about that. One thing I did like about the back of this locomotive is it has these nice metal grab irons going up to the top. I thought that was a nice touch. The top of this locomotive features some very nice detailing, including this separately applied plastic sand bin, these 13 different separately applied metal lift rings, this separately applied metal grab iron, and all 5 fans are see-through and feature separately applied fan blades inside. They don't spin, they are fixed. The model also features a fan-driven smoke unit, a proto smoke unit, and it works very well. The model's paint is well applied, but I did have one problem with it. Some of the paint in the tight corners did not stick to the plastic, so there's some white spots on the engine, but they're too small to notice, and they're not a big deal. The engine has a high bass Vico speaker enclosed by an airtight speaker box, and this is a very great sounding engine. It has a ton of bass. Some people don't think that MTH engines have a lot of bass because in their previous runs of engines they included smaller, weaker speakers, but with this round they have a very high quality speaker. So when I start this engine up in a minute and rev it up, just listen to how good the sounds are. My favorite feature about this engine is the sound of the prime mover, as well as the sounds in general. MTH has really stepped it up in terms of sound quality and bass, and I really like the sound of this engine when it revs up. So when I start up in a minute, listen to those sounds. I really like the sound of this engine. The horn is good too, but I prefer the engine sounds. Here's the bell. For this shot I have the engine sounds muted so I can talk to you about the lighting. As you can see, it has two forward ditch lights, it has a headlight, and it has number boards. The number boards are on both sides, and they're probably my favorite lighting effect. The ditch lights oscillate when the horn is blown, like so. For this shot, I'll rev through all 8 rev levels. This locomotive has a really impressive crawling speed of just 2 scale mile per hour, so let's give this a try. Alright, that wraps up the review. Thanks for watching.